downstairs and I can't see biblical foundation for it. How will wealth gravitate towards a person's hand because you anointed their palm? And he told me, well, one of the days that Pastor Adeboye ministered for him, he ministered that because of the anointing, the palms of Jezebel, his feet and his skull or head that were anointed, dogs did not go there because of the anointing. I said, are you transmitting Jezebel anointing to them or what? Because I never had, I know those truths, but how is it foundation for wealth transfer? I said, the next session I'm going to correct it. And he said, no. And I said, then here ends the story. I can't preach except you correct that. And I carried my stuff and left the hotel. And from that day till now, we never preach for each other anymore.
Now,
welcome to the moment of truth. You just heard Pastor Tunde Bakare. When I told you that Adeboye didn't start his idol worshiping today, he started a long time ago. That was in 2003. The Iraqi war was in 2003. Adeboye misleading the young pastors, introducing idolatry to them, taking them the way of the Lord and showing them the way of the Old Testament. When Jesus had already come and said and abolish all those things, and that's what Adeboye is still practicing till today. And we see where Christianity is today. You remember that man that is now a Shono of Ogbomosho? He was a pastor. He went for an advice, and Adeboye asked him that there's nothing wrong in being a traditionalist. The man is a royal king in Shon, Ogbomosho. He left, what is it called? He left his church in USA and crowned in Ogbomosho as a royal king. That's Adeboye for you. He has derailed a lot of destiny. Tunde Bakare opened up here. And one thing I like about Pastor Tunde Bakare, he has his own error. Don't get me wrong, but he is still better. He's still better than them. Stay tuned and hear the full story of how Adeboye, Oyedepo, Ashimolowo is been derailing destiny, destroying lives, misleading people. Stay tuned.
Saying nobody knows it all. We know in part and we prophesy in part. And let me also condition that with the book of Proverbs. A righteous man chooses his friends wisely, because the companions of fools, the ways of fools destroy them. The ways of the wicked destroy them. Now, none of my contemporary is being called a wicked person. Matthew Ashimolowo was introduced to me by late Reverend Benga David in London. I'd seen him once, but we never greeted at Tunde Joda's church. He became probably the closest to me of all these men you mentioned. And Tunde Joda was very, 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 perhaps he had the largest growing church of young people, yuppies, because of his emphasis on faith at that time. I'd known Tunde Joda's older brother in London when I was ministering for Michael Bassett in his church in London. We call it London Alive Church. I've forgotten the name now. But Tunde Joda became close, and I remember he brought Derek Hartland and the rest to me. Was constantly coming to our convention, and I preached for him. So I saw casually Pastor Matthew and Ashimolowo, and it was at Tunde Joda's also that I first saw Banka Kamala when he was introduced. But we were not introduced, it was Nims Obunge who eventually introduced Banka Kamala to me. In a few months ago, February, my son Wale Lulano came to my home and said, "Sir, I've been doing ministry with with Pastor Matthew, and I would like to invite him to our ministry to come." I said, "By all means, please feel free to do so. I'm sure it will be a blessing to you." And when Pastor Matthew had his crisis, either with Osho, the guy in the Mountain of Fire over plagiarism, God's dynamic power of prayer, and when he had his crisis in London, I know the role I played behind the scene, and none of them knew I even played that role. I remember when I called names in London, I said, "Do everything." I poured my soul and my heart into that work. When we greet, when we see, for what's his name, Ashimolowo, we met at the funeral of late Bishop Obembe, and I slapped him on the back. I said, your father-in-law died, and you didn't even think of inviting me. How dare you?" For me, there's no war. And when I saw him later saying, if you want to give $60,000, stand in the middle, 60,000 naira on the right, 60,000 naira on the left, I felt so bad. That's not the Ashimolowo I knew. Ashimolowo was the one pioneering warriors of righteousness in the UK. There are good people, from Bishop Oyedepo, for example, who was so close that we were becoming more or less inseparable. He was having an outreach. I was the first person to invite him to Ota. He didn't know where Ota was. It was at the crusade that I was doing at Ota that I invited him, and he came to minister on one of the nights. Thank God for what God has given to him in Ota. I'd not seen it one time, but I heard it's great, it's fantastic. I'd not driven to Ota since I left the place for crusade. The only time I'd visited Ota was when Olumide's mother died, and I went there to help bury. But I was talking about Bishop Oyedepo. We were he was having a seminar in Sheraton Hotel, Abuja. And that morning, I just finished ministry. And he came later. And he brought a white plate and poured oil inside the white plate. And he started anointing the palm of the people who were there. And said the following words: as I anoint your palm, wealth will gravitate towards your hands. Because I'd matured a little, it would have been there. It would have been there that trouble would have started. But because we are staying in the same suite, himself and his wife in a room, myself and my wife in a room, it was during the Iraqi war, I remember clearly, and we'll pray together in the living room before we go to minister. That was how close we were. So when we got to the room, I said, you said something downstairs, and I can't see biblical foundation for it. How will wealth gravitate towards a person's hand because you anointed their palm? And he told me, well, one of the days that Pastor Adeboye ministered for him, he ministered that because of the anointing, the palms of Jezebel, his feet and his skull or head that were anointed, dogs did not go there because of the anointing. I said, are you transmitting Jezebel anointing to them or what? Because I know those truths, but how is it foundation for wealth transfer? I said, the next session I'm going to correct it. And he said, no. And I said, then here ends the story. I can't preach except you correct that. And I carried my stuff and left the hotel. And from that day till now, we never preach for each other anymore.
Now,
you just heard the full interview of Pastor Tunde Bakare, because they asked him why he's no longer mingling with all these pastors, and he gave us his full reason why he disassociates himself. He just let them go. They will make an error, and when other pastors pointed it out to them, they don't want correction because they are too scared of their fathers in the Lord. All these young pastors, that's how Adeboye mislead them, destroy their destiny, say something else to them. Oyedepo is doing the same thing to people that calls him father. Kumoye is doing the same thing to people that called him father. That is why the Christianity today is rubbish and nonsense. And that's why you have to know God for yourself. That Wale Olulano was a brother in my church, my first church, maybe my second church in the UK. So he left that church to go and open his Harmony Church with his wife. What's her name now? So she's a nurse. They started all these things and start their own manipulation and all that. It's all about money. This man, Wale Olunana, he doesn't have the quality, I can tell you, because he's someone I knew as a brother. So he was jumping from here and there, collecting anointing. He's like a Sema, having fathers, jumping here and there, following everybody, including Crefodollars. He's been everywhere. Now he's holding now. Look at him there, holding now. So everyone they look at Christianity today. That's why you have to know God for yourself. My pastor also tell me something similar like this, that he saw a man message online and he full of error, and he called that guy and he explained to him, this is an error, we have to correct it. And the man agreed with my pastor that, yeah, you're right, but I cannot correct it. Just leave it like that. So my pastor was like, kind of crying. What about the people that don't know their right from their left, and they saw this and they ran with it? Their destiny will be destroyed. He does not care. He just wants to protect his own identity and his own error. Because They are working for Satan. I don't see why someone told you what you did was wrong. You say it was Adeboye that started this, then Oyedepo jumped on it. And he today was telling you, this is wrong, let's correct it. And he said no. And he packed his things and he left. The same thing with Pastor Lumide. I've done a video about it. When he make a prophetic words, and it was the pastor that he went to preach for that actually has side chicks everywhere, and he's supposed to continue the following day. And when the pastor now opened up to him, he say, how did I even know you to come and preach to you or for you? That's the end. He left. Those are the right people. Those are the right people. Don't derail destiny. Don't ruin people's lives. They hang your trust, and the only thing you can give back is to be deceiving them, manipulating them, derailing their destiny. Oyakilome is doing it, Bushiri, Ubatenje, Makadiwa. Imagine, and you wonder why why Christianity is like this today. I hope you get something. Let me know your mind. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. We need to grow together. We need to repair Christianity. And I cannot do it alone. We have to do it together. I see you on my next video. Bye for now.